Play.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready. Play.
That was cool watching that together with Mario, especially Paolini at the end there. So nice.
A top 10 player is a friend of the show.
Top 10 player is a friend of the show. Not bad. How are you, Nick?
Oh, I'm all right, thanks. Yeah. Enjoying this evening's tennis. Maybe some things didn't quite go the way that I thought they might, especially as a hopeful Brit. But overall, looking forward to today. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got Draper losing, Murray on the precipice in terms of his fitness, in terms of a news development today, in terms of his back, and he's obviously in a race against time. Not the only person, with Vondrousova, I think, in a similar situation after yesterday's injury. Was there any other bad news? Sorry?
We know a lot less about Vondrousova, to be fair.
Yeah, we do. But I think it might just be because we're Brits and we follow British journalists on Twitter. If we followed a bunch of Czech journalists, maybe we'd have more updates. I don't know.
Maybe, yes. Although I don't, the problem is we don't speak Czech. So
neither. Yeah, but there's a button, Nick, on Twitter that says translate. Should try it.
There was a button for that, but then how do I know which tweets to translate?
True. Is there any other bad news for the Brits today?
Billy Harris losing, but that was expected. Although he did put up a good fight against Musetti. He lost 6-3, 7-5. He went down an early break. He was clearly nervous. And then it was pretty close for the whole rest of the match up until 5-all when Musetti broke after playing some absolutely magical sequence of points, which Harris couldn't do anything about. So Musetti showing his ranking in that moment. So it wasn't a surprise that Harris didn't make it, but I think those are the main kind of stories. I think Murray and fitness, I've never been optimistic about that. Not since the ankle problem in Miami. I'm surprised he's even able to play.
True. That sort of healed a bit quicker than I think we thought. If you are an optimistic Ayla Tomljanovic fan, good news is that she's won the second set. I've got Leylah Fernandez against Tomljanovic on my phone. We've got Korda against Hijikata here. We will, of course, there's a third match. Tell me, Nick.
Eubanks Zhang in Halle. So I've got Fernandez Tomljanovic on my screen.
Fine, no problem. I don't have access, I think, to that third encounter, but we're fine. So we'll keep you updated on that. Hi, Jake. And of course, we're pretty much here also to reflect on the day's tennis. We had a lot of tennis in Berlin
today. Yes, it's been very enjoyable. So,
I mean, you got to see 2 Azarenka matches.
I heard, yeah. I didn't even get there in time for that, but yeah, you did see.
Yeah, and basically it's been also a bit unlucky because, of course, Pegula and Siniakova were not ready, so we had basically 40 minutes without action. And of course, considering also the rain that has come then later, I mean, it's been a bit of an unfortunate situation. Also, Rybakina was pretty weird to witness live because you were watching her talking a lot with the umpire, and the body language was a bit off. So it was clear that there was something wrong with her. But still, the issue hasn't been very clear also because the physio never really did anything on the court. They went off the court and she retired without even coming back to the court. So they haven't even shaken hands, so it was really impossible to understand live on the stadium what was happening. So yeah, then we had the mixed doubles, Azarenka and her son, with a couple of, I actually don't know if they were fans, but it's been enjoyable. And probably it's been the highlight of the day. But no, actually we also have most of the match between Pegula and Siniakova, which was a very close one. Siniakova is doing really well this week. She played two very good performances in the first two rounds, and today also was a very tough and close one. And then at the third set she fell, and she had the moment when it wasn't clear if she was able to keep going or to stop, and we had also long medical timeout. But then it seemed that she was okay after getting broken. She went back, playing good tennis. So let's see tomorrow what it's going to happen.
Yeah, regarding Rybakina, I've got a couple of things to add because, yeah, there was no handshake at the net, so it seemed like she was clearly feeling, I guess, nauseous or unwell. I mean, I know the official reason has been giving about an ab issue, but you would think an ab issue, even if it causes you to do this as she was doing with her body language, you'd still think that she'd just go like this to her opponent. But she rushed off court, and as sort of one or two people in the chat are highlighting, it is a pattern at the moment in the last 13 months. I'm thinking back to the French Open when she withdrew last year before her match in a kind of mysterious scenario. Then she, there's been other occasions, no doubt, since then. I mean, Wimbledon, was she ever 100%? I know she played throughout. And then, of course, Indian Wells this year, she rocks up at Indian Wells, but withdraws on the eve of the tournament, then plays Miami, gets to the final. And it sort of seems to be a stop-start scenario. And I do want to add a couple of things, or at least one more thing regarding the withdrawal today. Even I think it may have been a bit of a surprise to Vukov, just looking at some of the body language from him. I don't know if he knew that this was going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're her coach, and even us, we've seen it a lot over the last 13 months. Maybe we're not. I mean, you text me because I wasn't there at the time. You said, that match finished in an unusual way. And then I said retirement. You said yes. And I said Rybakina, just because that made more sense to me in a way. But I don't know what you've got to add to that, Nick.
Yeah. Here's the thing with this Rybakina situation is there is clearly some kind of health concern with her, but she's not been super forthcoming about it, about her health. She's mentioned allergies before, but that doesn't seem to necessarily fit the description. So we've got two things going on here. Either she's been really, really unfortunate, and it's just one thing after another that just happens to be unrelated. And that is plausible. All of us have had periods where we've just had one thing after another in our health that not necessarily causes the other. Or there is an underlying health condition that she isn't talking about, and frankly, she doesn't have to talk about. So you can make all sorts of possibilities of like what the problem might be. Today, I mean, like an abdominal issue that makes you feel ill. Could be a couple of things. I mean, the worst case, I could think of a couple of worst case scenarios, but as Nurland points out, she usually does pretty well, if not wins, goes pretty deep in the next tournament when she withdraws. So the question is whether the next tournament is Wimbledon or whether it's Eastbourne, which she technically is on the entry list for. I would imagine it's most likely Wimbledon, but it depends if she feels like she needs some more grass matches, if Berlin was unexpectedly curtailed for her. But that's all right. There's clearly something wrong. There's clearly something going on with her, but I don't think it necessarily affects the level of her tennis all of the time. And I think she's still very, very much a danger for Wimbledon. This seems like something she should be able to recover from in time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been unfortunate because she had to withdraw from 2,000 tournaments, and she was the defending champion in both, because both Indian Wells and Rome also she had to withdraw this year from Rome. Yeah, watching live didn't seem like an injury, meaning like physical pain in doing some kind of movement. I didn't have live this this idea. So yeah, probably we can add this episode in to all the other episodes we know about her, and probably there is something that we aren't really aware of with her, because probably she doesn't feel really comfortable to talk about that. I don't know, it's also difficult to speculate when you don't really know, but the feeling is kind of that, because when it happens 3-4 times in 6-7 months, and it actually starts to be a bit worrying, and you start finding a reason, let's say, behind that, even because all these times there wasn't really an injury that that was going on, and so then she withdraws and you're like, okay, it's understandable, and you actually never really know what happened. She's feeling ill, she's feeling unwell, so you kind of try to connect all these things, and so I kind of agree with this.
Yeah, so watch this space, and fingers crossed that she's just in good shape, particularly for Wimbledon. But yeah, she's on the list at the moment. We'll probably find out in the coming hours or coming 24 hours, I'd have thought, if she does plan to play Eastbourne. Tom Janovic, I see, is up an early break, so a real momentum shift going on there. Okay, and I want to now go back to Pegula and Siniakova. Pegula up a break. What is it? 4-3?
4-2 right now.
In the deciding set, so she's very much in the driving seat. And of course, what this of course does is it puts the organization of tomorrow, when I believe it is going to be dry tomorrow, so I'm pretty optimistic that come this time tomorrow we will know who the finalist is. But of course, there are 4 players who potentially could play 2 matches in one day. I think Sabalenka and
4 matches.
Kalinskaya and
Jabeur and Goff.
Yeah, and Jabeur. Those 4 players.
And whoever wins out of Pegula and Siniakova, because they still have to finish.
But there's a big asterisk why this one, as we were talking today, right? I mean, that one could be done in 10 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
Could be 20, but
and even if it goes to a tie break, you cannot really consider it a match, let's say. So
which is why smartly I thought they would do this, and I'm pleased that they are doing this. They're putting the ones that haven't even started, they go on first. So the 4 players I just mentioned, that'll all be in action at 11:30 on 2 separate courts, and off they go. They then finish, and then we'll need a good 2-hour break, whilst then Pegula and Siniakova will then come on, finish their match, because it would be silly to have Pegula, Siniakova on first, play 20 minutes, and then Pegula, cigar, by the way, is the operative word, because I was smoking a cigar last night, so if I sound a bit hoarse.
Basically what Azarenka is doing, she always plays 11 a.m.
Yeah, she's on the cigars already, basically, Azarenka. She's just waiting to see what happens. So anyway, so that to me makes sense that the ones that haven't even played a minute of their quarterfinal, they go on first, they play their 2 quarterfinals. We then get the conclusion to Siniakova, Pegula. I'm sure they'll consult Pegula over what sort of amount of time she needs. But if they said 2 hours from when the other 2 quarterfinals finish, then who's Pegula playing? Is she playing Azarenka?
No, yeah, because she goes second. Pegula plays the second semifinal tomorrow. So
right. So
she has the time. She has a full match to.
Yeah, right. So she's fine.
Or Siniakova.
We could well have though and I wonder if they might squeeze a doubles on or something. But then we could have an hour of no singles tennis tomorrow while we wait for, those 2 other quarterfinalists to sort of recover. Because you'll have an hour for them to recover, plus let's say 20 minutes, half an hour of if everyone's. Are you following this, Nick? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I am following it. Yeah, no, I get what you're talking about.
I
actually would have done the opposite though if I was scheduling. I'd have put.
I thought because your silence, I thought he was disagreeing. Go on, tell us why.
I would have put Pegula Siniakova on first. Here's why. Okay, that's done in 20 minutes potentially, hopefully, or regardless if it goes to a tiebreaker.
Oh, I see.
Then basically you play the 2 at the same time, and then their suitable rest is. But of course, you have reminded me that of course they're on different sides of the draw, because Azarenka's got to play the winner of Sabalenka Kalinskaya. So that doesn't really work. But what they have done is right. they've
see
not
where-
done what other tournaments have done, which is put the people who would be playing each other kind of sequentially.
Yeah. Keep up with
which
the
is
back.
where the problem's coming from.
Oh, by the way, Tomljanovic, 3 break points for
Tomljanovic, she reached the quarterfinals at Wimbledon at her last 2 appearances.
Okay.
21 and 22.
Okay.
Last year she didn't play.
Right.
Injury, right?
Yeah, last year it's been a nightmare for her.
It was a write-off, wasn't it? Pretty much the whole year. I think
And I
she
have
played.
to say,
Billie Jean
Fernandez
Cup.
has been playing super well in Birmingham, so this is a really good performance for Tomljanovic to turn it around because Fernandez was flying in that first set.
I wish we had a picture, Jake. Actually, I don't think I was coughing too much, but this morning I woke up with a bit of a sore throat.
I would have loved to have you on a stream with me the other day when I was coughing my lungs out as well because neither of us would be able to get much out.
Yeah, I remember you saying. But of course, it wasn't just a cigar. There was a few beers. There was lots of Scottish and English people that were sort of coming together, if you like, in both a positive and a negative way. And no, it was mostly positive, but banter and all that. And a smidgen of Germans, a Serbian who seemed to be a little upset with maybe me. But just because I think maybe I was sort of talking across the bar to some Scots, and then I went and told the Scots, which I thought was a good idea. And I said, because they said, what do you go talk to the Serbian for? And I was like, well, just to sort of placate him a little bit. He seemed a bit annoyed. What was he annoyed about? I was like, well, I think maybe, and I wanted to put the blame on me. I said, I think I was being a bit loud. You were fine. Maybe I'll go talk to him. No, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, everyone's here talking bar talk in Berlin. So that was last night. But yeah, so back to today. Let's. Is there anything else we can add to Berlin? I think we're.
Miles is asking us again about Rybakina. He wasn't.
Rewind the stream, Miles.
Yeah, just rewind the stream. We're not going to repeat it, but just rewind the stream, or better, Miles, stick with us throughout. At the end, go back. See, now that's the kind of planning that I think the WTA and ATP need to follow. Okay, so Berlin tick. Birmingham update. Tomljanovic has a double break advantage, so she's got 1 foot in the semi-final, I would argue. What else has been going on in Birmingham today? Putin Saver singing some Britney Spears at a changeover I saw, which was quite funny.
I missed that. Clearly, because there's a couple of other matches I was paying attention to at that point.
It was a sort of Stricker. You remember when Stricker did it at the US Open when he said, I want to dance? She was doing it with Oops, I Did It Again. Yeah, there you go, Nick. Yeah, she was doing that.
I could imagine Peter Saver doing that. And actually, Kira went to Birmingham yesterday and tweeted that she thought Putin Saver looked very, very good. So one to watch potentially there. But yeah, beat Dolhide in 3 sets. Maybe could have got it done in 2. So Putin Saver looking very good in Birmingham. I think this could be just sort of a nice sort of momentum building tournament for someone, or at least some nice sort of grass court points for those in kind of the mid-level rankings at this rate. You also have Potapova reaching the semi-finals. So this year her draw may have worked out in her favor, unlike what she was saying last year, if you remember. And then we also have Elisabetta Cotteretto, who has beaten 2 Grand Slam champions to make the semi-finals. Had a bit of a tougher one against Schneider from a set down, but you must be feeling pretty happy about that one, Mario.
Yeah, she did well also at the French Open, so she kind of carried their momentum into the grass, and it's nice. I mean, Italian tennis hasn't really been successful on grass, especially on the women's side, because right now on the men's side with Berrettini and also Sinner is doing well on the grass. Lately, it's been Wimbledon semi-finalist, but on women's side, it's always been a bit of a struggle for us Italians for sure. So it's nice to see Cocciaretto playing well on grass. I think that she has solid ground strokes, so she can adapt well also to quicker courts, when she needs to stay a little bit low with her legs. And so yeah, I think she can do well. Now let's see, because Putintseva Cocciaretto is that kind of match which for me is very difficult to predict actually, because I don't know, it's really difficult. Feels a bit like a coin toss for me.
update is that
Is it
Hijikata has taken the first set.
Sorry,
Against the Wimbledon favourite, Semi Corda. A Wimbledon favourite, according to the Corda bookmaker, that is.
I think he may have backed off from that after last year.
Yes. So you were about to say something, Nick?
Is Kochereto definitely playing Putitsev? I thought she was going to play Potapova.
I checked the draw.
Okay.
Before.
You checked the draw, I didn't, so we'll go with you.
I will check again. Because maybe.
It's a player beginning with P. I will agree with you on that.
Yeah, Kochereto Putitsev tomorrow.
Okay.
There you go. Semi-final. Any other Birmingham comments or thoughts?
No, not a lot. As I said, like Birmingham's one of those.
If we're not there, Nick, it's kind of the forgotten one amongst the 4 tournaments happening this week. It's the only 250, right? I think we've got 3 500s and a 250. So we're not doing it intentionally out of spite, but it's just an accidental. There's a word for this. It's like a whatever, and it's just how it is. But yeah, Putin's over there. And so Tomjanovic, if she wins, and want to remind everyone she's 4-love up in the deciding set over Leylah Fernandez. So if she wins this match, she will play Dolheim. Potapova. Sorry, Potapova. You did say, yeah. Okay. Then we'll keep up to date, of course, with all the other live action that's going on. But let's move over to the ATP Tour, where let's begin with Jack Draper, with obviously that incredible win that he had yesterday in straight sets over world number 2, but soon to be world number 3 again, Carlos Alcaraz, and recent French Open, of course, title winner. Should we just have a quick word on that before then we come to his loss to Tommy Paul today? What are your thoughts on his win yesterday over Alcaraz?
For me, it felt like possible before the match, because I was considering that this year conditions are a bit different for Alcaraz because he won, of course, the French Open. And so maybe understandably, it's not super easy, especially considering that you're facing a player who knows how to do his things on the grass and already won a title last week. And he's flowing on the surface, and it can be of course difficult, and it has been actually. For Alcaraz side, it's just a loss. He's won a slam a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not really considering that much what has happened yesterday from his side. Also, maybe it can be an important match for him to take something away and take it at Wimbledon, and if in terms of adjusting to the surface, having played a dangerous guy like Draper. And yeah, that's for Draper, for sure, a very, very big one, because in, let's say, a few days, a lot of good things happened for him, because first ATP title in Stuttgart last week, and then he comes to London and gets a win over Alcaraz, who had a good streak on the grass. So it's also, from statistical point of view, it was quite difficult. It's actually only the 3rd loss that Alcaraz has on the grass so far, after Medvedev and Sinner at Wimbledon in 21 and 22. And yeah, then he also, I saw the clips, and he also played some very good and fearless shots when he was, for example, breakpoint down. He comes to the net and play great volley. And also in the last service game, still Alcaraz was trying to push him. He was, I think, love 30 down. So he had his tough moments, even if the match was not that long. So it may seem for grass 7-6, 6-3, maybe not that. But still, with a player like Alcaraz, you cannot really afford to let your chance go away. So even if you are 5-2 up and in the second set and you won the first one, so it may seem that for you it's a comfortable situation score-wise, but you never know if you let Alcaraz just get a bit more confidence in the match, and then you never know what's going to happen. So it was for sure a great test, and yeah, today he lost, but for sure, one of these players that you need to look at Wimbledon, that's for sure.
And I was just noting a couple of things. First of all, don't forget Alcaraz in the first round last year against Rinderknech nearly went out,
Yeah.
right? Did he save a match point against Wimbledon?
I'm pretty sure
Pretty sure he did. So that could have been a very different Wimbledon build-up for him, and who knows how that would have led to how he would have performed at Wimbledon. But all ifs, buts, and maybes. But another thing I would add is there is the 5 sets. So just in terms of those people panicking about Alcaraz's Wimbledon chances, first of all, he'll have 2 or 3 rounds before he'll play. Obviously, now a seeded player such he'll have at least 2 rounds anyway, I think, before potentially playing someone like Jack Draper. But also, I even think that we all know how unbelievable Alcaraz is in the 5-set dynamic. We know his 5-set record in terms of, I think it's 11-1, is it, in 5 sets, or 10-1?
I think 11.
11-1
because
after
he
that
won
Zverev
2 at
one.
the French. So
Yeah. Right, yeah, he did. He beat Sid and then obviously Zverev back to back. Similarly, at the US Open, of course, a couple of years ago, he did back-to-back quarterfinals, semifinals, and so
round 16, Cilic.
Oh, 3 back-to-back. You're right, yeah. So then it's that match yesterday. I know it's ifs, buts, and maybes, and 2-set or best of 3s are always difficult. But let's try and work in the dynamic of, let's imagine that was 5 sets yesterday, and he goes 2 sets to love down to Draper. Maybe he wins the 3rd set, and then, who knows where that would have gone. So I think that'll help. And he'll have a bit more, time to get warmed up. I wouldn't be surprised if they did meet in round 3. I would obviously make Alcaraz a fairly warm favourite if they were to meet again at Wimbledon. Maybe we should talk about how Draper, I mean, that must be, okay, he lost today to Tommy Paul. We'll come to that in a second. I know you were watching quite a bit of that match, so I do want to get your thoughts on that. But, I mean, UK must be going stir crazy over this wonderful sporting summer with England at the... Oh, maybe let's not talk about England at the Euros and their performances. Let's stick to Jack Draper.
We're not talking about the Italians at the Euros. That's fine.
Well, that's true, because, of course, that was on in the bar last night as I was smoking a Cuban. Anyway, yeah, Jack Draper, I mean, a lot of positivity for him, Nick, right?
Oh, yeah. To the point where, as soon as he beat Alcaraz yesterday, people were talking about, is he a contender for the Wimbledon title? I think that might be 2024 might be a little soon for him, especially after the way he lost today. I think he did run out of gas a little bit, but the performance against Alcaraz was really strong. He really held his own, and he was very mentally engaged throughout the whole match and didn't allow himself to falter, really. And that was something that we saw all through his Stuttgart run. That's how he beat Tiafoe in the quarterfinals, which was actually quite a close match. He beat Berrettini in the final, doing something similarly. So, that Alcaraz win, not a surprise. I think it does highlight, this guy is definitely a very, very good tennis player. I think there was definitely a lot of hope that he would win Queens. I think I think he was put down as the favourite to win after that result. Now it's not going to be.
Yeah, I thought
it's not.
He was probably another favourite. But...
Yeah, but he's gonna. You would back him to go deep at Wimbledon at this point, injury permitting.
Huh?
I am also missing because you told me about Draper probably being
to get to the final, yeah.
And I was for me Korda, and
Okay.
right now he's down.
Yeah, Korda's a set down. Although...
What's the is Hijikata broken?
No, not yet.
No, that's tiebreak.
But it's obviously Hijikata won the first set in the tiebreak, and now we're in the second set, 1-1. All right. Well, then of course he lost it, but then on the negative side, he loses Tommy Paul today. But it was a super close match, and I know you were paying quite a lot of attention to that match.
Yeah, I am actually surprised positively from Tommy Paul the way he played today. I mean, I know that the level is pretty close between the two. But I don't know. I thought that Draper could have backed up actually the win he had against Alcaraz yesterday, and especially in the second set he had a pretty tough moment because he serves to bring the second set to tiebreak Paul and gets broken to love, and then it becomes very, very difficult at the beginning of the third. So I would say a very, very good performance overall from also a mental perspective. And now let's see how it goes, because for sure he's trying to win the biggest title of his career. He's in the semis. He's the highest ranked player that is left in the draw, even if Korda wins. I mean, we've seen Sertogenbosch, Korda won pretty comfortably that match, but I mean, things can also change. I would say that it's a bit difficult tournament to predict because we have a lot of very, very good players, but you haven't like the very, very strong contender that you're like, I'm pretty sure he's the favorite. For me, it felt Korda this morning, and probably it still feels if he wins today, actually, because I think I don't know. I still have too much in my head the match they played last week, the two, and then Musetti Thompson. Thompson is actually a very good story of this tournament. He's playing very, very, very well, and Musetti was very emotional also today. Had a tough season. There are a lot of great stories from this tournament actually, because we have all these solid players, but they are playing for a lot because it would be a very, very big title for all of remaining players. So, but again with Tommy Paul, very, very confident after this match that he's starting feeling better and better on the grass, because last week the idea was a bit different. This is going very well.
Really good win for Jordan Thompson. I didn't see any of it, but yeah, for me, beating Taylor Fritz, and I think I haven't watched every single Taylor Fritz match this year, but when I have seen him play, I thought that the Australian Open run to the quarters, yeah, I thought was quite good, and I actually thought that his level against Novak was significantly better than his level was in New York last year. So I had some optimism. I do think Taylor on the grass is. We're going to talk about Wimbledon at the end of the show, and I like. There's a nice question from Sean, so please stay tuned, Sean, because we'll come to you. I've written your question down on my notepad because I do want to touch on Wimbledon at the end of the show.
Like a proper journalist.
Yeah. So we'll come to that, and we'll come to. Well, I'm just touching on it now. Taylor Fritz and where I think that he may be in the grand scheme of things. For Wimbledon on the men's side, and we'll add to that later. But yeah, really good win for Jordan, and so he's in the semi-finals, and we'll play. You did just tell me Musetti, of course. Oh, and so who did Musetti beat today in straight sets? Was it
Billy Harris?
Yeah. So, and anything to add on Billy Harris, by the way, in his run, Nick?
No, I talked about him earlier in the show, so I don't want to. I think. In terms of his run overall, I think he's one of those great sort of underdog stories that we get sometimes around Wimbledon time, like your Van Rijthovens or sort of James Ward, if another plucky Brit, but sort of very much a late bloomer, Billy Harris. I mean, like the BBC coverage was talking about the fact that he kind of travels around in a Ford Transit van around Europe, converted transit van. So yeah, he sleeps in the transit van, he cooks in there, so saves a lot of money, and so he's kind of doing the jobbing tennis life, as it were. I feel like this run might be yielding him some nice income here, but he's going to play Eastbourne. He's got a wild card into Wimbledon, and I think he's going to be one of the names that's going to get talked about in the media, maybe as someone to watch a couple of matches of, because watching him today, like when he's locked in, he's got a very solid grass court game.
Okay, I'm just trying to find a picture. Did you say it was in the Times, right?
BBC. I saw it, but it might be.
I think I've got a picture of him here in the aforementioned transit van. For those of you that are not non-native speakers, or maybe there's a different word for it in the US, that is a transit van, and that's what he kind of.
Ford's an American company, so there must be an American equivalent.
Okay, so maybe it may be called transit van in the US. So US people, Miles, I know, is in the chat among others. Do let us know if it's called something else across the pond. Okay, let's therefore switch to Halle, back onto the mainland of the continent, where I was on Monday and Tuesday this week. I'm now in Berlin, but of course we're keeping up to date. We watched the conclusion of Jannik Sinner's third set win over Jan-Lennard Struff. I've got one or two things to say, which is basically that there is I love Struffy, but probably when it went to that tie break, it did feel like, especially when he went he lost his serve on the first point, and it's like, okay, so he's going to have to play catch up here against the world number one and someone who's been on fire for most of the last year. and it didn't quite work out. You mentioned that maybe Struff is going to have to take a few more risks, and there was a few unforced errors. I remember seeing a few forehands going into the net in that last couple of games as well. He did well to hang on to Yannick in a way, because, as you mentioned, what was the stats in terms of breakpoint opportunities?
Yannick conceded 1 and saved 1, and Struff conceded, I think, 18, and he saved 16 of them. A lot also in the third set. Yannick also, the one was in the third set, actually, but it was, I mean, only 1, and he had the love 40, a couple of love 40 situations, Yannick, both in the second and in the third set, and 15-40 when he was very close to the tie. But Struff served and, you know, and played well, at least in the breakpoint I managed to watch. And so but yeah, both tiebreak actually got decided early, because the second set tiebreak, Struff got an early advantage and then he just went away with that. But in the third, yeah, actually the feeling, since Sinner held both his points after getting the mini break and then 3-love, it was okay. It's looking difficult, but good for Yannick that is getting a lot of match play on grass. And yeah, still unbeaten before the semifinals since October last year. So, you know, still going well, strong, and I mean, it's giving good indication despite these matches being close this week, I would say. So yeah, and for Struff, I mean, it's always he always comes close to these wins, and he has a very, very dangerous game. And so, yeah, it will be very, very difficult opponent for everybody who has to face him early on at Wimbledon. So he will also be one to watch very, very closely, you know, especially.
He won't be seeded.
I was then going to say, what's his ranking, Struff?
Not in the seedings. He won't be seeded.
No. Oh.
Yeah, it's not in the seedings.
Imagine getting him in the first or second round, and then you get Draper in the third round, and yeah. Anyway, there we go. Just having a quick look at his current ranking of 41. So yeah, he will not be seeded at Wimbledon, so he will be definitely a dangerous first round opponent for someone. Okay, so that's one of the. Tomjanovic has just sealed the deal, 6-2, I think it was, in the third.
Yep.
So she is through to the semis in Eastbourne. In Birmingham. Yeah, Birmingham. Yeah. I'm even calling Birmingham Eastbourne now. I'm trying to block Birmingham from the.
Well, this is the last year Birmingham's 250.
I know. They'll be begging us to come back next year when it's sort of a 1-2-5 or whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, I don't think anyone's begged talking tennis for anything. Not yet, anyway. Okay, so other Halle matches. Zverev won today. Can you add something to Zverev's win? Because actually I didn't see any of it or have much awareness of it, Mario.
I've seen it all, actually. I've seen the whole match because I was interesting. Zverev felt like an interesting one to watch because also of the contrast of styles, you know, between the two players. And Fields did very good job, and he's looking very good on the grass. Actually, his season hasn't been really probably up to the expectation it set last year. But yeah, I would say that this week in Halle was very positive. Probably in the end, you know, when things got tight, the experience, the mental toughness made a bit the difference. We know that Zverev is not a champion in that, but in a match against Fields, you know, in Halle, and it's the quarterfinal match, you know, he definitely has that experience that can you know, make things a little bit easier for him. Overall, I would say good indications for both players, because Fields, how we reacted after the French Open and the clay season, which was, yeah, as I said, not up to the expectations, and he also admitted it. This week he won a couple of very good matches and played a good one against the guy who is actually second in the race. So it's grass maybe is not really his thing. Talking about Zverev, is the surface he's always had the most troubles, never did really well at Wimbledon, still chasing his first title on grass. But still, from Phil's perspective, I feel it's a good step forward considering where he was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So Zverev marches on in his homeland, and other quarterfinals in Halle today.
That is
Well, Hurkacz got through in straight. I think it was straight.
Just checking now, Hurkacz. Yeah.
So he's playing Zverev next, and I've got Zhang Eubanks on my screen now in the fourth quarterfinal.
Cool. Well, just quickly on Hurkacz Giron, although I didn't watch the match, I did see Giron on Monday, and I think I tweeted this, so people might be going, "Oh, calm down about Giron." But by the way, is it Giron or Giron? I've always said Giron, but then I have been hearing more people say Giron recently. So
that's what I say, but I will check on the ATP website if there's a pronunciation. And even the first set today was not the classic Hurkacz set that goes to a tiebreak. Giron really had opportunities. He troubled Hurkacz in that first set, and what a week actually for him. He had a very, very good one, because even the two matches he won against Rublev and Berrettini, two great players to beat. So very, very good performance. And Hurkacz is already a champion in Halle, won 2 years ago. Didn't have luck going into Wimbledon that year after winning Halle, but he knows how to do his things on the grass. So he's very dangerous thinking about Wimbledon. I don't really see that many. He's also best ranking, number 7 next week, a new best ranking. Doesn't really mean anything for Wimbledon, because if you're 8th or 7th, it's the same. But for his career, he's still a number above the previous position.
But I was just watching Giron on Monday, and I thought, wow, what a player, what a performance. And who did he put out even on Monday? I'm trying to think. It was quite an upset in the first round, Giron on Monday. Rublev, of course, yeah. And then I started to think about what I saw at Wimbledon last year, and I quite liked him on the grass. I mean, I know he's quite short, but despite all that, I quite like the way he moves on the surface, and maybe he'll get a couple of wins at Wimbledon as well. Hurkacz, though, is going to be going into this tournament as a person that will be certainly in the conversation when we start talking about potential quarterfinalists and semi-finalists, giving his pedigree on this surface. Previous semi-finalist already. He beat someone in the quarterfinal that year of no importance in the tennis landscape, but I don't remember who that was.
They made a documentary about that match recently, but no.
Hurkacz should have a documentary called, 14 Days. Maybe he'll have one.
There's one match. It was a Labour Cup match, not Wimbledon match, but I'm sure that Wimbledon.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, so Hurkacz into the semi-finals. So he'll play Zverev tomorrow.
Actually, can he feel even slightly favorite in the semi against Zverev, considering
Hurkacz,
he won in Halle before, and his game is very well suited for grass?
It's close, but it's 55-45 for me.
I would agree with your assessment on that. I'm making Hurkacz my slight favourite for that match tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. And so the other semi-final will be Sinner against the winner of Zhang and Eubanks. So I want to see what the score is there, actually.
Well, Eubanks has just got to 5-4 in the second set, so Zhang's serving to stay in the set, having won the first.
Okay. But so I saw someone say something about Eubanks making a move. I guess that just means
Miles. Yeah, it's Miles being optimistic, maybe.
Okay, but at least he's putting pressure on Zhang anyway.
Yeah, for sure. He could take the set here, and then we'll be into a decider.
Indeed. Yeah, a little bit of
what's happening in Corda Hijikata? I'm not following the score.
Nothing. If there was something that happened, I mean, there is something happened. They're hitting a ball over the net. I mean, they're not just, I'm going to mention it again. They're not got the cigars out. No, there is something happening, but nothing of I don't even know if I've seen a break point. Certainly, there's been no breaks anyway.
In this set.
Yeah. It's 3-3 on serve, and so Zhang there 4-5, and Tomljanovic is through. Okay, I do want to, unless there's anything else, Halle, we could talk about, which I don't think there is, but maybe there's something I've missed. No.
No.
No. The arena's called the Owl Arena, which is kind of amusing as a name.
I believe it's OWL, isn't it? I think it's
OWL is it? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
OWL is kind of the acronym for the region, I think.
Okay.
It's in.
I should know this. It's in North Rhine-Westphalia, the bigger region, but maybe there's a more concentrated region. But then there's a lot of things going on in Germany like this because they've got trains and they're called ICE. I see it as ICE, ICE. And a German said to me once a couple of years ago, like, oh, I never thought about that because they know it as the intercity something else. And they call it ICE, you see. But yeah, there's obviously something going on there. Talking of German trains, pretty bad, pretty unreliable. A lot of people complaining from England fans that we're going to Gelsenkirchen, having problems getting out of Gelsenkirchen. And trust me, if you ever go to Gelsenkirchen, the first thing you want to do is get out. But they do make it very tricky. I saw it compared with Leeds the other day. Nothing against Leeds. People get in the comments below and come criticize us about that. But there was something like, oh yeah, just getting in and around, getting out of Halle is also quite tricky, especially as the trains get cancelled and delayed and all sorts of things. So I'm seeing love 30 for Zhang, so that may well go to a third set. If it does, we'll obviously mention it. But we are coming kind of towards the end of the show, in my opinion. I want to talk about Wimbledon because that is on the horizon. That'll probably be by this time next week. We'll know the draw. And in about 9 or 10 days from now, the tournament itself will be underway, the third Grand Slam of the year. Let's stick with the men as we're on that topic, and then we'll end on the women. You and I were just talking on the train back from, or on the subway or whatever it is, back from the location of where the Berlin tournament is today. We were talking about tier ones, tier twos, who's there, who's not. And of course, we've mentioned a few players. We've had the Shelton question. We've had her catch as well. Where are these players sort of in our thoughts? And for me, Novak Djokovic now comes back into the conversation. We're seeing lots of optimistic videos coming of where he's testing the knee and stuff. So if I had to bet, and it's a complete gamble, I wouldn't know for sure, but I would probably be thinking that he's going to play. I don't think he would be posting these videos. You know, if he was like pessimistic about his chances, why would you tease your audience by showing them these videos?
Yeah, unless you are, I don't know, just giving like optimistic updates, meaning like I will be back soon.
Yeah.
But I also think like I tend to believe that he'll be there. But I mean, I'm just of course guessing because I haven't. I mean, I actually was. Have some people I can ask, so I will try to have some information, and if I have any, I will share.
Yeah,
and
it's just a funny comment here from Matthew.
Oh
yeah. Anyway, so that's Djokovic, and the reason he's particularly relevant right now to this conversation because if there's a tier one, I guess it's Alcaraz, Djokovic, and Sinner. That's it.
And that's it, I think.
Yeah, because
then I don't know.
Because for other surfaces, you know, you would start adding people like Zverev or maybe Tsitsipas or someone else.
Yeah, let's say maybe clay. You have Zverev. On hard, you have Medvedev.
Definitely, yeah.
So yeah, I feel like the tier one, meaning like guys. The big contenders, the main favorites is this one. And then I think there can be a pretty long tier 2 list actually, because it all depends on how you are feeling about them, because there are a lot of potentially dangerous players. Of course, it will depend a lot on the draw. Maybe the draw will come out and we will change our mind suddenly because of a lot of things. For example, I don't know, maybe round 4 projected. For example, a lot of things. If Tommy Paul wins Queens, for example, Taylor Fritz can draw in round 4 the top 4 seeds, and Tommy Paul cannot. If not, it's the opposite. So this is a thing that, for example, can change a little bit the dark horse discourse. But I don't know. I mean, it all depends also
So we know what tier 1 means, basically. I don't think we need to explain that, but probably we need to put a definition on tier 2 before we say who is in it. What shall we say? I wouldn't be surprised if they made the semis. Does that sound like a tier 2? What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I'd agree with that assessment, and especially since, if we've got those 3 in tier 1, there is going to be an open semi-final, particularly if Zverev is the 4th seed and he's more vulnerable on grass.
Sure.
If you're thinking about who's in that Zverev section, who's likely to challenge him for that spot. So I would agree with that assessment. I would maybe also, or I would kind of say, if the unbelievable happens, Djokovic doesn't play, Alcaraz and Sinner somehow crash out, who is the most plausible person to pick up the pieces would be something I would also be considering.
And also if Djokovic plays, we have to see which half gets Alcaraz, like it was at the French Open.
Yeah. If he falls in Djokovic's half and then suddenly they're on a collision course for the semi-finals, then it makes Novak's path potentially to the title if Novak plays, and Yannick's seem a bit more appealing. I mean, obviously it depends on. Interestingly, I'm just writing some of these names down for, I wouldn't be surprised if they made the semis category, and it's just striking me that maybe grass is, because there's probably so few matches in the whole year on grass, it is the one where you're actually going to sort of some random. So you're kind of number 4 seed. Normally on a hard court, you'd go number 4 or number 5, with those being Zverev and Medvedev, I guess. You'd go, well, of course, I wouldn't be surprised if they made the semis. I probably would be, certainly this year at the moment where Medvedev's form is at.
A bit more with Medvedev probably than Zverev. Right now, for me, it wouldn't shock me, considering, the way he's playing this year, even if on grass. He's never done it at Wimbledon before. But probably I would be more surprised about Medvedev, considering, their form and what I'm watching right now from both players.
So let's just sort of say a yes or no. So remember the definition?
Yeah.
Would you be surprised if they made the semi-finals? Zverev.
So it's the question, do they belong in tier 2, or would you be surprised if they made the semi-finals?
So Zverev, would you be surprised if he made the semi-finals?
No, I would not be surprised.
Right, exactly.
No,
so he's in my tier 2 as well. Medvedev.
No.
Oh, I would be.
I
would be. I mean, I'm more in the I would be surprised category than not. But you're allowed to have
I'm in the not surprised category because he's Daniel Medvedev.
Fine.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe also best of 5. We can, survive troubles. For example,
and he does
the tiebreak against Zhang here in Halle is out. At Wimbledon, he's not out.
And he does seem to like Wimbledon as well.
What, you mean the village or the area? I like Wimbledon too, but I don't think I'll be making the semi-finals.
The tournament. I think he does actually.
But you like the tournament too, Nick. Are you going to make a run at Wimbledon? And I don't mean to the bar. I don't mean to the bar.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're going to come to this suggestion in a minute, probably any second. I mean, let me just go back to the
Casper Ruud is tier 128.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Casper Ruud is not.
Sorry, guys.
So again, I would be stunned if Casper Ruud made the semi-finals. I would be surprised if Andrei Rublev made the semi-finals. So for me, he's not in this tier 2.
Same.
I would not be surprised if Alex de Minaur made the semi-finals.
Same.
Agree.
I mean, obviously, it depends on the draw and who he gets in the quarters in particular. But, if he gets Alcaraz in the quarters, then, and I look at the draw and he's got Jack Draper in round 3 and Struff in round 1, then I'm saying, I probably would be. But we've got to do this without the draw in mind. So, no, I wouldn't be surprised if de Minaur made the semis.
No.
So actually, it was almost the easiest one amongst these sort of top 10 players from Zverev down to Dimitrov. It was probably the easiest one for me to just go, yeah, he's definitely. I would even put him ahead of Zverev in my thinking.
Same, more or less.
Yeah.
Just the thing that Zverev avoids a quarterfinal
True,
against
true.
you know, the top seeds. That maybe makes a little bit the difference. So they are kind of equal for me from that point of view. And I also think the number 9 is pretty clear.
Yeah, it's another easy one for me. Just absolutely tier 2. The most tier 2 guy in a way out there, possibly along with Demonor anyway. Hubi Hurkacz. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
For me, if I make a power ranking, is number 4.
Yeah.
Oh.
If I make my power ranking.
Maybe that's something we need to hear. Audience, let us know in the comment section below if you want to get a power ranking from Mario. We'll see if we can get
love
that
to
dropped up. Because we got obviously.
I can try. I've never done it before, but I can try.
Can try. Well, we'll talk about it maybe. This is the first time I'm mentioning it to him, by the way, and he's thinking, well, I was looking forward to a nice Chinese and a chill out tonight and watch the Netherlands against.
Now I have to.
Yeah, I know.
Mario, take my advice. Don't make one until after Queen's and Halle is completed. I'm going to be dragging my heels so much with mine.
Yeah. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on this video and check out Nick's WTA power rankings.
By the way, maybe I'm a bit too strict, but for me, that's it for tier 2.
Well, that's where we're gonna. There's 2 If I was to put them into tier 2, I think this would be where people would be commenting. What about? Well, hang on a second. So I'm not putting Dimitrov in tier 2. I'm not putting Tsitsipas. I would be surprised if both of those made the semis.
Tsitsipas, yes. Dimitrov, I could see that happening. He's good on grass. He likes it. He has underperformed at Queen's, which is why I'm hesitant. But
his first Grand Slam semi-final in I don't know how many years.
Since 2019.
Right, since Australia, I guess.
No, actually, for me, is that I wouldn't be surprised if he makes to the semis, but I don't think he's the one who can beat the guy he has to replace. This is why I'm a bit doubtful. If I don't really, I struggle really to trust him when he has to play the very, very top seeds like Alcaraz or Yannick Sinner, for example. I mean, he beat Alcaraz in Shanghai, it was. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. In a slam, I would really be doubtful.
Listen, don't worry. There's not a single player that could be in this tier 2, that I won't at least mention. We may dismiss them, but they won't at least get mentioned because I can see lots of different names in the chat that all need to be addressed.
Yeah, because then for me, that's why I'm saying probably I'm a bit more strict, but because for me, tier 2 is also a close tier, you know, to those elite players who are just behind the top players. And then I would make a tier 3 with all these dangerous players who can have a good run, but they are not as elite as them.
If we were to do a tier 3, we would be here till midnight, I think. So we're not going to do a tier 3, ladies and gentlemen, okay? No matter how... I'll tell you what, if somebody donates $100 to the pot, or the super chat, then... I mean, it might be me on my own, but I'll do the tier 3. But anyway, don't plan to do a tier 3. But... for me, the problem with what you're saying, I know what you mean. In an ideal world, tier 1 would be here, and tier 2. The problem is there's such a huge gap that.
That's right.
Like, so for me, tier 1 is possible winner. Tier 2 is would you be surprised if they make the semis? Taylor Fritz, Tommy Paul, Ben Shelton. I saw somebody say in a comment earlier.
Yes,
do we think Ben Shelton can get to the second week? Yes. Would I be surprised if Ben Shelton made the semis? Yes. Tommy Paul, Taylor Fritz. What are we thinking about those two in terms of possible semi-finalist at Wimbledon? I'm probably surprised at both of them. Taylor's never been that far in the past at Wimbledon.
He was damn close a couple of years back.
I know he was.
Been.
And that's when Taylor Fritz could have and should have grasped that opportunity. And why I remember his press conference afterwards, he was devastated. I mean, Nadal was obviously a bit glum because I think he knew what was coming. But Taylor Fritz, I mean... he was devastated, probably because he knew it was there for him that day. And I just haven't seen him play quite that form he was showing in 2022, as obviously winning Indian Wells that year. And I have seen some positive roots, whatever, something of success for him this year. But I would be surprised if Fritz, Paul, or Shelton made the semi-finals.
Okay, here's what I will say here. if Tommy Paul wins Queens, he will move up into tier 2 for me.
Yeah.
If he doesn't,
I
then
disagree.
Go on. Disagree, Barry. It's okay. We're allowed to disagree.
No, you know why I disagree? Because in the end, I know winning Queens, the title has its importance, but for me, it also depends on the kind of wins you get, you know. And I don't know if Korda, Hijikata, Thompson, Musetti, they are good players. These are good wins, but I don't know if these wins really mean that you have taken that step towards the tier 2. Then I don't know. I struggle a little bit, but because I know why. Because my idea of tier 2 is stricter than yours. That's why
mine's basically how high are they ranking on my spreadsheet, but also like for me, Queens does provide it's traditionally probably the better Wimbledon warm up. The champion there,
that's right,
usually sets themselves up pretty well, and I would say you are right in if Tommy Paul reaches the final, he will be the favourite against either Musetti or Thompson.
Korda's just won the second set, by the way. So
Korda could be an interesting. If it's Korda he plays, that might be a different conversation, right? Because he's then because he would have beaten Korda and Draper, who obviously got a big win, and so he's showing that he can beat form players on grass, which in a certain kind of draw, let's say Tommy Paul's in the Zverev quarter, where who's a lot more vulnerable on grass, and there might not be some other great grass court, and that is going to be a battle of who's going to be more comfortable on the surface to get to the semi-finals. Tommy Paul's in the mix. If you put Tommy Paul in the same quarter as Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic, do I see him getting past them? No, but I don't see that being likely for anyone else we've put in tier 2. So for me, but this is very much maybe if Tommy Paul loses to Sebi Korda, different then no. But like this is the massive caveat. He has to win Queens for me to move.
Listen, we should get in touch with Korda and Paul's team and tell them, listen, who cares about winning Queens? If you win this match, you're coming in. You're welcome to the tier 2 party. We're having a tier 2 party, all right? And we'll see you there. By the way, that was funny from Ghosty asking about will we get a tier 4 and how much for a tier 4 and a tier 5. Well, Mario's got a flight to Mallorca on Sunday night, and
it's almost 3 hours,
yeah,
so I have time.
Yeah, well, that's true. You could do it during that period. But I'm thinking about if we do tier 4 and 5, we're just going to keep going. We've got matches to watch at Berlin.
Tier 128.
Well, indeed, that's the Casper Ruud. Casper Ruud's in a category all on his own, tier 1 to 8. If you're joining the chat right now and you go, oh, have you mentioned X player? Well, I'll tell you what you should do. Check the ATP rankings as of Monday, the one on the ATP website, because I'm actually just going down the list basically.
I do want to put one name out there now. Make sure he gets covered.
Well,
do we put Matteo Berrettini in tier 2?
Wait, we got to get to him. Don't worry. He's not going to get forgotten. But
I'm thinking we've been
I'm not
for
going
an
to
hour
go through every player. I'm not going to ask you if Sebastian Baez, because I'm skipping 1 or 2 players though, obviously.
That's tier 127.
Right,
I
think exactly.
Past you get past a certain point in the rankings, I think you can jump around a bit.
Oh, absolutely. Well, to be honest with you, I'm skipping, but I'll also get to another point in the rankings where I'll just basically Berrettini. So, Rune.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's not making semis.
I'm doubtful too, actually, right now.
So, Holger Rune, Wimbledon semi-finalist 2024. You'd be surprised.
Yes.
Yes, I would like. It can make sense, but I didn't see that coming. You know, that would be my.
Yeah. Korda.
Yeah.
Sorry, actually, no. Sorry, I shouldn't go to Korda yet.
My thought process is
Humbert, Bublik, Felix. Any of those 3 you think could be tier 2?
Could be, but they're not.
I'd be surprised if I know Felix has obviously had a great run at Wimbledon before, but I would be surprised if he made the semis. I would be surprised if Bublik made the semis. I would be surprised if Humbert. So they're not in tier 2.
They are those players who I can really well see into the second week, but how far in that second week it becomes a bit difficult for me right now.
Jarry, Manarino, Khachanov.
Jarry has health issues right now. I don't know. He will come to Wimbledon without grass, big grass preparation.
Again, all
So I
three of those. Yes, Hatchanoff is good at slams and been in semi-finals at slams in the past, but yeah,
He's not making tier 2 for me.
No, and Manarino's really good on grass, but again, I would be shocked or be surprised.
Not shocked.
Shocked, okay.
Like some of these names, they wouldn't be shocked. They'd be like, hey, you know what? They're good grass court players, even Hatchanov, but they're not as likely as as other players who we've mentioned already. They would be, okay, that tracks, but I wasn't calling it pre-tournament.
In 3 weeks, by the way, somebody will write on a comment like, Casper Ruud got to the semi-finals. Right, okay? Which
I'm laughing not because of Ruud, but because of me doing the joke.
128. Yeah, but it still doesn't change the fact that it would be a stunner. It doesn't change that. So,
exactly.
And we're talking on the 21st of June.
Mine was, of course, just a joke, and I have enormous respect for Casper Ruud.
Again, we like Casper Ruud, yeah. Well, I mean, Casper used this
Wimbledon, I mean, for me...
I think Casper would be shocked. I think
for me, it would be a very, very big surprise.
Yeah, I think it would be a surprise for Casper. Casper's already booked a holiday for the second week of Wimbledon. He's already got his holiday plans. He's off to Florida or somewhere to chill out, or maybe even come to Germany to watch some of the football. So it does come to, though, probably one of our final contenders, in my opinion, really. Not the final one, but one of the final ones, which is Sebi Korda. Would you be surprised, as of 9:10 or 8:10 is in the UK, or 10 past something else elsewhere? Because obviously we're watching him right now playing Hijikata, but we have to just talk about it right now. Would you be surprised if he makes the semi-finals? It's close, this one. This one's a tough one for me.
This is the same answer as Tommy Paul for me. I think
Depends
whichever
on
them, I think it depends on tomorrow. It depends on who wins the title in Queens. If Korda is the Queen's champion, yes, I'm putting him in tier 2. If he's not, he's on that borderline top tier 3.
Fair.
I kind of agree.
Yeah. And yeah, I'd probably hold off then on. I'm tempted to put him in there. He's probably the most difficult one for me. Whereas I was pretty clear on some of the other ones. Okay, I think there's no one else worth talking about, because I think they'd all... I'm going down the rankings. There's one more, I know, but we'll come to
there
in a
are
second.
Dangerous players, but I don't think...
Yeah, they're not even worth chatting about, except for the world number 65, who's just jumped 30 places, actually, from 95, and a former Wimbledon finalist, of course, Matteo Berrettini.
I'm going to repeat for me the same thing I said for Dimitrov. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know how to trust him if he has to face Sinner or Alcaraz. I don't call the upset alert if this is going to happen.
Right.
That's my... having seen also a lot of his matches against the top players, even when he was number 6, for me, I don't know. It's still a bit difficult to right now really believe in that. But if he makes the semis, I wouldn't be surprised. That's
Mario.
But it depends on the draw for me about him.
It's the same for me as well. My thoughts on Berrettini are, in terms of rating him, are the same as yours. He has to be in the right quarter of the draw for me to see that possibly happening, but I wouldn't be surprised, which is why for me he would be in tier 2. But I wanted to ask you, Mario, would you say any of the names that we've mentioned in tier 2 you would put on upset alert? Because I don't think I would for any of them.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably you're right about this. Yeah. So we can ride him. Probably also Dimitrov. Maybe no.
I mean, I'm not putting Berrettini in my tier 2. I think I would be surprised if he made the semis. It could happen, but I'd be surprised. And if you're putting Berrettini in there, then you probably have to start adding 1 or 2 other names or I think you go with more conviction regarding Korda, or Jack Draper beat Berrettini, didn't he?
No, for me about Berrettini, the only thing that makes me his slam record is actually pretty good. In in best of 5 matches. And, having seen him last year, his run with very, very, little preparation, I don't know, makes me quite okay with that idea. Then, again, I don't know, but I think it wouldn't shock pretty much everybody. Then it also depends on the opponents. Maybe if he gets 2 enormous wins back to back, and probably it would be kind of surprising. But just imagine his placement in the semis, since this is kind of the game we are making right now. It feels okay.
So on the women's side, because I think we are done. Jack Draper, I guess is for me a surprise semi-finalist.
Yeah, I think
still
yes, no.
Yeah,
he's top of tier 3. He would be a, oh, that's cool, he made it. Wasn't calling that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's what. Okay. Let's try and go through this a bit quicker. Otherwise, it will be late. Over to the women. This one is trickier for tier 1. I think there's an 100% person for tier 1, and that's Aryna Sabalenka. Right?
Yeah.
As in, like, you wouldn't be shocked if she wins the title. Now, I know Nick is probably going, don't forget Rybakina, and I'm not. It's just obviously what happened today. But I guess if she, is healthy and has a normal run at Wimbledon, she's tier 1, right?
Yeah. If not her, who?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my.
Yeah. I mean, you could put Sabalenka on her own, but yeah. So then the only real question for me in tier 1, well, you can probably guess it, Nick.
Iga?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not going to be Ayla Tomljanovic, despite her win today.
Well, I don't know if she's the only question for tier 1, though. That's the thing.
Right. Okay. Well, but let's get Iga. Then we'll come to potentially someone else. Would you be surprised if Iga Swiatek won Wimbledon?
No, I would not be surprised. Just because she's Iga Swiatek and finds a way of pulling wins out the bag, like sometimes, is it the most favorable conditions for her? No. Is she going in with any kind of preparation? No. But on the other hand, she's also on a 19-match winning streak and kind of on a bit of a high right now. So
never been past the quarterfinals.
Never been past the quarterfinals. Hey, neither had Ash Barty when she won it. So,
oh, nice. Now I thought my serve down the tee was pretty good, but your backhand return there, very good.
And actually, last year's run to the quarters makes me okay, because I've seen the progress for her on the surface and that Wimbledon. So even if she was a very close match against Bencic in round 4, then she lost against Svitolina, but she had her chances. So I'm
improvements to the serve.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I will never write her behind, behind tier 1. For me, she's tier 1 everywhere she goes and plays.
I mean, I have to say, I was 2 minutes ago, I was pretty sure about not having her in tier 1. You both make a pretty good argument.
In the end, we also haven't really seen her playing against Sabalenka, Rybakina on grass. So for sure, she can be in danger against these players, but we don't have also the proof, these past matches that maybe she has played and lost against these players, and you're like, but maybe, I don't know, for me, she can be very, very dangerous. I remember, for example, when Sinner in 2022 still had to win his first match on grass, and he went on to the quarterfinals in Wimbledon, and she was 2 sets up against Djokovic. So when the players are very good, I will never be surprised if she figures out how to do it and manages to do it. Then maybe, of course, it's a situation where maybe the draw will also give us a bit better indication of how many dangerous obstacles she's going to face. But for me, she has to be tier 1. That's my
I mean, you two are pretty clear. I don't know. Would I be? Listen, if the question was, do I think Iga will win Wimbledon at some point in her career? I would go, yes. I think it will happen at some point. Do I think it'll happen this year? No, I don't. Would I be surprised if it happened this year? Which is kind of, that's how I want to frame it like that. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
There's an element.
We don't know. I mean, we don't have to agree.
There's an element of you. I see your point, because there's an element where I'd be like, I'm going into this going, am I saying that she's not exactly a dead cert? She doesn't. Her prospects are a lot more unknown this year, because we've seen the improvements in general, the track record, but she's not doing grass court prep. And that's the thing. She's practicing, but she's not playing matches. That's kind of what's making the unknown question here. I think if she played Berlin and she was in the quarterfinals and she was caught up with everyone else, this conversation would be probably going a bit differently.
Yeah, could well be. There's a point in the chat from Svana. I like the point, but I have got a counter to it. If Vondrousova can win Wimbledon, then why can't Iga? Absolutely. But was Vondrousova a surprise Wimbledon winner? Absolutely.
Yes.
So that's the problem.
I also know that Vondrousova had a very bad grass court record before last year.
Yeah.
And
until Berlin, when she suddenly made the quarterfinals, and everyone went, "Oh, that was
exactly
weird."
And like Medvedev, what was that record at Rome, and then he wins the title?
0-3.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm probably going to not put Iga in tier 1, which is going to drive people crazy, but there we go. That's
look, we're not making a joint list. We're making our own lists.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll never ever make a joint list, because we just couldn't do it. It just wouldn't happen unless we all agreed with each other, and that would be a boring show. Okay, then for me, an easy answer to this question, but I suspect Nick might be disagreeing, or at least I'm thinking that he might, because of him thinking that there's a fourth potential one, which for me there isn't. But I'm looking at the rankings, of course. I'm looking at the world number 2 right now, Coco Gauff, who, of course, is going to be in action tomorrow against Ons Jabeur here in Berlin. For me, I would be shocked if she won Wimbledon this year.
I wouldn't.
I'm doubtful.
I mean, if she wins Berlin, then maybe I'll change.
Yeah.
She's never been past the 4th round?
Never been past the 4th round, no. But
that was her debut appearance, I think, right?
Maybe. And her second appearance.
She was 15, yeah.
This is not her, for me, it's not going to be, it's probably of the 3 surfaces, and I think she said it yesterday in her press conference, it's her weakest surface.
Yeah, probably, let's say that it depends. For me, it's the classic case where it's, I really wish we would have watched her against Jabeur today. I would be...
and that would help this conversation.
I would have been
it's still gonna happen. Yeah.
For me, it's probably a bit too much, tier 1, but even tier 2, next to a lot of other players, still for me, it's a bit diminishing here.
Oh, look at Eubanks. Sorry, just a second. Eubanks.
Yep.
That was quick. Very quick.
Yes, I was paying attention to you. I wasn't watching the match, so I've just looked over and gone, oh, he broke.
And Korda's got to break up in the 3rd. Sorry, I missed that one. So we are done with tier 1 now, though, right? I mean, you're putting her in tier 1, Nick. Me and Mary, I think, are not. But there's nobody else, right? There's. I mean, if Pegula won Wimbledon, you'd be surprised, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess, because I think I guess it depends on what you mean by surprised. I think there are names out there that, like, if you're looking for that sort of random, she could win it in certain circumstances, that would probably be your tier 2, right? That would be your...
Yeah, that's I mean...
For me, it's tier 2.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know how else to put it, but for me, Pegula winning Wimbledon would be a surprise. I mean, yes, you might say, well, if she gets a good draw.
The one I'm flip-flopping on right now is Ons.
Oh, I see. No, I would be surprised. Just because of 2 factors. Firstly, the form since Wimbledon last year. and also now with this backlog of what's the word, the scar tissue, that it will make it difficult. Plus, I don't think she's going to be playing Marketa Vondrousova in the final. If she got there, for example, it would probably be Sabalenka, Rybakina, maybe Iga.
You know, it would be probably even better for her if there's some mental issue with the final, you know, to come into the final finally as the underdog. Because even against Rybakina in 2022, she felt like the favorite, at least for me, you know, not as much as last year, but so probably, you know, can help her a bit mentally. I kind of trust her still. I have some trust in her. I watch her play and I'm like, oh, she's good. You know, having watched her now in Berlin against Noskova. She's finding form, you know. But yeah, still probably it's a bit too much for me to ride her into the tier one, probably.
Just quickly before we get your opinion on Jabeur, I just want to be... I'd be shocked. I'd be surprised if Pegula won Wimbledon. So therefore, she's in my tier 2. You'd be surprised if Pegula won Wimbledon.
Yes.
So she's in tier 2 or something.
Same.
And you're the same, Nick, are you? For Pegula? Yeah. So what about Jabeur then? I would be surprised if she won Wimbledon. That's not to say that she can't or that she won't, but I'd be surprised right now, as of the 21st of June, 2024. I'd be surprised. And so therefore, she's in my tier 2.
I'm going with I'm not going to be surprised. So for the reasons that Mario laid out. Also, very similar to Mario's comment earlier about Goff, I wish we'd seen the Goff-Jabeur match today because that probably would have clarified.
For the sake of this podcast.
It feels like a big test for both.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And
but I make Jabeur the slight favourite for that.
Yeah. But then there's also that assessment, like who there is no one out there better than Jabeur on grass, and that is always going to be a factor with her in the background.
So I agree.
I would say Jabeur's in that category of not surprised, and I would certainly be less surprised with her than anyone else outside of who we've already mentioned being in tier 1.
And are you going to put Jabeur in? Would you be surprised if Jabeur won Wimbledon this year?
My thing is that if I open my tier 1 to Jabeur, I want to open it also for Goff.
Yeah. So
I feel they are, in my opinion, right now, if I make the power ranking, I would be struggling to think who should I put higher. Probably I would go Jabeur right now because I know her record at Wimbledon. She's been in the finals for 2 straight years. And she made me a good impression in Berlin for what I watched from her. Of course, there is a tough match tomorrow against Goff. But yeah, tomorrow's match feels really big for me.
Another one. It's like Tommy Paul and potentially Sebi Corda. He's a wake up in the third. So just quickly,
Zhang's broken back in the decider.
Oh, Zhang has broken back. I see. Oh, okay. Yeah. So are you putting Jabeur? Would you be surprised if Jabeur won Wimbledon this year? Yes or no?
No. Okay. No.
So therefore, she's in tier 1.
Okay.
And therefore, would you be surprised if Coco Gauff won Wimbledon this year?
Just a little bit, probably. But at some point, I take my decision and I make a 5 players tier 1. Let's make it like this. It's kind of fun for me.
Okay. So that's it, right? There's no one else. Maria Sakkari would be a shock, right?
Yes, that would be a shock.
That was a joke.
That's Jasmine Paolini. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm not putting her in tier 1. I was kidding.
So for me, Jabeur and Goff go into tier 2, but I think for you guys, they go into tier 1. Iga as well is in my tier 1 is just Sabalenka and Rybakina. Anyway, tier 2. Would you be surprised if this player made the semi-finals? Goff, I wouldn't be surprised. Jabeur wouldn't be surprised. So we've already done that. Jessica Pegula. No, I wouldn't be.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
She's in my tier 2.
She was very close last year. I mean, she's not in the same form right now, but she can still pick up form this week.
Let's imagine Vondrousova is fit. It's a huge question mark, but let's just imagine she's 100% on day 1 of Wimbledon. Would you be surprised if Vondrousova made the semi-finals?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I could see her making it the semi-finals if one of the top 4 gives way.
Me too.
And yeah. So
I
me
also
too.
tend to respect a lot the fact that she's the defending champion. So it's really difficult to be surprised to see her.
Exactly. Yeah. Paulini, I would be surprised.
Yeah, me too. Probably.
Zheng,
Grass, yes.
Sakari, I would be surprised. Disagree?
Yeah,
same.
Zheng maybe top end of the tier 3 though.
Yeah. But yeah. What about Daniel Collins?
No, wouldn't be surprised. I can't be surprised at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Me neither.
Flat hitter.
Even if I think Grass probably can be a bit difficult
sometimes,
but I wouldn't be surprised if she manages,
exactly
to do that.
Yeah, I would have put her not in tier 2 at Roland Garros, for example. I would have been surprised there, but here, I don't know, a few less contenders, I think, and
yeah, because you saw her in Strasbourg.
Yeah, that
made a bit
big impression on me. That final against Madison Keys, I was like, But anyway, for me, yeah, she can make the semi-finals. I don't probably think she will. I'll have to wait until the draw for that. Sort of hard, but would I be surprised? No.
Madison Keys.
Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if she made the semis.
I have come to terms with Keys that I will never be surprised with any of her results.
Yeah,
more or less.
Yeah,
Nick, at least talking about semi-finals.
Yeah, Nick, he's someone I want to not be surprised with, but I have to say, as of right now, I would be, but I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah, so that's interesting. It's probably one of the first ones where I've been a bit friendlier or more optimistic about a player, such as Madison Keys, and Nick is saying, I don't know, I would be surprised. Ostapenko.
I would
be surprised. Her form. When was it? She maybe Australia. When was her last really good run at a tournament?
She won a 500 at the beginning of the year. She won just afterwards. I think she won the 500 in. It was before Abu. It was between Australia and Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, in Adelaide.
No, she won another one. She won another one after Australia. It was an indoor.
Oh, after Australia.
Linz. Yes. Okay. So yeah, you're right. That's the last time we've seen something big from her. So. Yeah, I would say on balance, I would be surprised. I've been on the record for years as saying I would not be surprised if Ostapenko ended up at the Wimbledon semi-finals. I've said that last 2 Wimbledons. I have to say, I agree with you guys. This year,
form is just
she's patchy for Ostapenko right now.
Yeah, and her form. I mean, I saw her playing in Werash at the Billie Jean King Cup against players significantly further down the rankings, and she was either just squeezing out a 3-set win or losing those matches. And and I haven't really seen anything since then that's changed my mind in terms of her form. Is there anyone else? Oh, well, there is actually. There's a couple of players. I think, bless you, I think we're all in agreement that Kasatkina, Samsonova, Kostyuk, and Navarro would surprise us if they made the semi-finals. Right?
Yeah,
that would surprise me if any of those did.
Yes.
Beatrice
Maya too, for me.
Yeah, I think me too. Yeah. It would surprise me. Victoria Azarenka.
I'm going controversial here. No. I know that.
Go on, Marianne.
Yeah, no, go. I need to.
No, you haven't finished your point. I thought you had. Go for it.
I've seen her this year, even if she lacked probably some heavy wins, but I'm seeing her being very consistent also physically. So she's one of these players that if the draw opens up even just a little bit, I think she can make a deep run. Then, I mean, a lot of times this hasn't happened because Azarenka is one of these players I often felt like this, and then maybe my opinion has been. But for me, she can make it to this, tier 2 players from what I watched from her, more or less.
Tricky one for me. Tricky. What do you think, Nick?
I put Azarenka in my early power ranking. At number 7 for very similar reasons to Mario. what I've noticed with the last 2 Wimbledon champions is that they were getting very under the radar, consistent results at big tournaments, Grand Slams and 1000s. Last 16 quarterfinals, regularly being in there and going on mid to deepish runs. And Azarenka is falling into that category as well. She's comfortable on grass. She's doing well on Berlin. So for me, Azarenka has to be tier 2. I would not be surprised to see her in the semi-finals. I am also, like Maria, quite enthusiastic about her right now.
Haven't really seen a lot of her in Berlin, partly because, of course, she played 4. She was the opponent for Rybakina, wasn't she, today?
Yeah, she played 2 matches and then the 4 games today.
That epic match she had last year, was it Svitolina in 4th round, maybe?
Yeah, Svitolina.
I mean, that should fill you with some confidence. Her Wimbledon record is so-so.
Semi-finals in 2012, bronze medal at the Olympics in 2012. That's her best results.
It does feel like with her, there's a lot of her best results were a decade ago. Although I know she made,
Actually, since she's a player,
the return,
I say it comfortably. You know, she's one of the players I follow most consistently, and I had a lot of stats about her that tells me that she's playing well, if not like in 2012 and 2013 or early 2016, because before she had pregnancy, but she's never actually been so kind of consistent like she's being this year for me. She used to keep a ranking on some deep runs here and there. Instead, this year it feels a little bit different. Even after losing the point from the Australian Open semi-final she reached in 2023, she still managed to be in, 19th in the world. It's 16th actually in the live ranking. She's top 10 in the race. So for me, it wouldn't feel like a shock. I would be like, probably if I was a bit more careful, I should have seen this potentially coming.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but it can be. For me, that's.
I think I feel the same. I think I would say, it wouldn't be the biggest shock of the world, and she could make the semi-finals. Is there anyone else? I'm just looking at the rankings right now. Alexandrova, Svitolina, and Andreeva. Any of those 3 that you wouldn't be surprised if they made the semis? Andreeva, of course, made the semis in Paris. She got to the 4th round, I think, last year before losing to Madison Keys. I think I'd be surprised if she backed up that semi-final in France. Yeah, I would be surprised if she made the semi-finals.
She would start to make a very strong case. She makes back-to-back Grand Slam semi-finals.
Playing grass, but I'd be surprised.
Probably a little bit,
What about you, Nick? Andreeva, Mira?
I don't think it's super likely, but if it happens, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. I think her grass court debut last year filled me with a lot of hope. Her recent form is suggesting that she's definitely growing and maturing and getting used to this bigger stage. So I think on balance, if Andreeva makes it, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it would fulfill very much the on paper form across Wimbledon and across the year that she's got right now.
Alexandrova, I would be surprised if she made the semi-finals.
Yeah, it's her slam record that's holding it back for me. Otherwise, she's one of those ones where I'd like to say I wouldn't be, but her slam record holds her back.
Svitolina, despite her semi-final appearance last year.
For me, it's important also that thing Nick mentioned, because, for example, if we think about Alexandrova and, example, Azarenka as she is right now, probably in terms of the level they can potentially express on the grass, it's not that different, but would you think it's more likely that she gets to a semi-final at Wimbledon? And then I think you say Azarenka.
Quarter serving for the match, got a match point. Zhang has just sealed the...
you're ahead of me.
Deal, right? I think. Sorry.
I'm watching you seal the deal now.
Yeah, sealed the deal there. So that was a good come from behind situation.
We are in sort of dark.
Oh, yes, so we are. 5-2 he was down, wasn't he, Zhang, in that set?
He was indeed. Yes. So that's going to hurt a little bit for you, Banks, I think.
It's like that actually.
Oh, okay. Yep, 5-2 down to 7-5. So that's a big win for him. Let there be light. Corder is through as well, so that's nice. They are through.
Is there anyone else on the women's game?
Svitolina, I would be surprised.
Yes.
Just because of her form, it has
exactly.
gone off a bit.
I don't know if there's anyone else obvious. I'm seeing some names in the chat, but there was one other. I mean, no, I can't think of any other names that, unless you think that there's someone.
But just quickly, Svitolina, would you be surprised if she made the semis,
Yes.
Nick? Yeah. No, I think.
I want to ask about Noskova.
Okay, I'd be surprised.
Oh.
Probably.
Noskova in a similar category to Keys Alexandrova to me. Of I'm seeing the potential. I would still be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, let's I
would be very excited to see it though. I would love that.
Doesn't mean it can't happen. You know, Yastremska made the semis in Melbourne.
I tend to agree. You know, I really have in my eyes the match she played against Jabeur, where both left me really good feelings. But yeah, in the end, probably semi-final. I would be a bit surprised this year.
I think that's it. I think there's that. Basically, if anyone's in the chat and you're going, oh, but you didn't mention, that means that we don't think that they are tier 2. We'd be shocked if they made the semis. So, yeah, I think that's it. And the 2 matches as well. All the matches have now finished on the ATP and WTA tour. Glad I mentioned the main tour. Glad I mentioned that because Damien would join the chat and say there's a challenger in Colombia that we're missing.
There's challenges in Italy, the UK, Spain.
But I would imagine they've all finished with European time. I don't know. I could be wrong. But we mentioned Andre Virgin. Keep up at the back.
Actually, there is a challenger in Bolivia, but it hasn't started. So we have no challengers matches going on.
But if it hasn't started, then it hasn't finished. So
you're right, but we have to stay here 1 hour just waiting. So
okay, wonderful. We're done, and it's been a bit of an epic show in the end. But that's how it is sometimes.
I blame you with your tier rankings, John. This should have been
it's my fault. Definitely, it's okay. I'm fine with taking the blame. If you've just joined us and you think there's something we've missed, well, we probably didn't. So go back to the beginning and watch again. Also, of course, if you're watching not live at another point, do get in the comment section below and tell us if you agree or disagree with anything we've basically said over the last hour and a half. But I think we're done, and we're going to probably catch some of the Netherlands against France, which last I saw was 0-0.
Yes,
so at least we haven't missed any goals.
Yes.
So that is something, and we'll speak to you all soon. Take care, Nick. Take care, Mario, even though you're right here. And as soon as I turn this off, he's still going to be there. So, that's that. See you, Nick. Thanks very much.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.